a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight on Gravitas is about Iran vowing a third direct attack on Israel. Now, what does that mean for the region? What are the implications and where do things even go from here? What's the latest? We break down all this and more for you in just a bit while we get you the bigger picture. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. Has Donald Trump made NATO irrelevant? What's brewing really? And what do the developments tell us? We get you the complete story. What's the latest on the crucial Riyadh talks? And why have Europe and Ukraine been sidelined? And what are they saying? We tell you all that you need to know. All this and more coming up. Our top story tonight on Gravitas comes from West Asia. Iran has openly threatened to strike Israel for a third time. A direct warning from Tehran, not just meant for Israel, but also for the U.S. and the fragile ceasefire in Gaza. That any collapse of the deal would lead to a huge conflagration. According to a high-ranking IRGC commander, in fact, a third direct strike on Israel is inevitable. IRGC Deputy Commander Ali Fadavi stated that the attack, codenamed True Promise 3, would happen, quote-unquote, at the right time, without providing further details. In fact, Iran has already launched 2 significant missile attacks on Israel in the past year, making this threat all the more serious. In April, Iran unleashed over 300 missiles and drones towards Israeli military installations as a retaliation for the killing of 2 of its generals in Damascus. And then in October, Iran launched Operation True Promise 2, firing around 200 missiles in response to the assassination of key Iran-backed leaders, including former Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. And now the announcement by the IRGC Deputy Commander coming just a day after the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to counter Iran's influence and curb its nuclear ambitions. Netanyahu, in fact, claimed that Israel had inflicted substantial damage on Iran since the war in Gaza started and with U.S. support was determined to, quote-unquote, finish the job. Listen in.
Today, Secretary Rubio and I had a very productive discussion with our staffs on a number of issues. None of them are more important than Iran. Israel and America stand shoulder to shoulder in countering the threat of Iran. We agreed that the Ayatollahs must not have nuclear weapons. And we also agreed that Iran's aggression in the region has to be rolled back.
And there can never be a nuclear Iran. A nuclear Iran that could then hold itself immune from pressure and from action. That can never happen. The president's been clear about that as well.
Rubio and Netanyahu's comments just weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump also reinstated the maximum pressure campaign to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. The campaign aims to cut Iran's oil exports down to zero in order to stop Tehran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, Iran has immediately fired back to Rubio and Netanyahu's comments. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, in fact, dismissing U.S. and Israeli threats, stating, quote unquote, they cannot do a damn thing to Iran, quote unquote.
Threatening others is a blatant violation of international law and the UN Charter. Also, when it comes to a country like the Islamic Republic of Iran, the response is clear. They cannot do a damn thing.
Now, the thing is, as the tensions continue to escalate, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has issued a major warning, stating that Iran is fully capable of defending itself against any attacks by enemies. And Iran is not alone, by the way. Yemen's Houthis have also pledged military action against Israel. Their leader, Abdel Malik al-Houthi, stated in a televised speech last week that the Houthis are ready to intervene at any time if Israel violates its ceasefire agreement with Hamas and resumes its offensive in Gaza. With multiple fronts heating up, Israel is finding itself in a rather increasingly precarious position. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, a critical ceasefire deadline has come and gone. Israel was supposed to complete its military withdrawal from South Lebanon as part of a U.S. brokered agreement with Hezbollah in November last year. However, just hours before the February 18 deadline expired, Israel announced that it would maintain a presence at 5 strategic positions along the border. According to reports, in fact, these locations situated on high ground overlooking Lebanese territory are seen as vital to Israel's security. Netanyahu justified the decision, insisting that Israel will do whatever is necessary to enforce the ceasefire. Under the original agreement, Lebanon's military was to take control of the region alongside UN peacekeepers. But with Israel refusing to fully pull out, the possibility of renewed clashes with Hezbollah remains high. Iran's threat of another strike, combined with mounting tensions in Lebanon and Gaza, raising the stakes further. How will Israel, the U.S., Iran, West Asia navigate this? One thing as of now is certain: any miscalculation could have devastating consequences. And the question is, will talks help end the wars? Just a few hours ago, in fact, Russian and American officials held talks on Ukraine in the capital city of Saudi Arabia. This was the first discussion on the issue since the war started 3 years ago in February 2022. Russia's chief foreign policy advisor, Yuri Ushakov, has said it, quote unquote, went well, and that they had a serious conversation on all issues. Ushakov said that separate teams of Russian and U.S. negotiators will begin communicating on Ukraine in due course. They also briefly discussed the conditions needed for a Putin-Trump summit. But here's the thing. The meeting took place without Ukraine or Europeans. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky rejected any outcome from the talks that do not include Kiev. And so all of this triggers several crucial questions. What do the US and Russia hope to gain from the Riyadh talks? Why have Europe and Ukraine been sidelined from the talks? What security guarantees, if any, can Ukraine actually expect from the discussions? And what role will Saudi Arabia play in the Ukraine solution? Let's first just take a look at who all attended the meeting in Riyadh. On the table were U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and the U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. The Russian side, meanwhile, was represented by the Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Russia's Chief Foreign Policy Advisor Yuri Ushakov, and the hosts were Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud and the Saudi National Security Advisor Mossad bin Mohammed Al Eben. According to Reuters, the discussion started with Russia stating that NATO membership for Ukraine is simply unacceptable. Russia's foreign ministry also said NATO must disavow a promise made at NATO summit in 2008 that Ukraine would eventually become a member of the organization. Just for context here, at a summit in Romania's capital in April 2008, NATO had declared that both Ukraine and Georgia would join the US-led defense alliance, but gave them no plan for actually how to get there. But you see, this demand should not be a problem as far as Washington is concerned, because earlier the Trump administration changed its position on Ukraine's NATO membership. Trump's team has stated that this is no longer on the table. Now remember, Ukraine's bid for NATO membership was a major factor that contributed to the war. According to the US State Department spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, US and Russian delegations have agreed to address irritants in their bilateral relationship. The two sides also agreed to appoint high-level teams for Ukraine talks and work towards ending the war as soon as possible. The statement further claimed that President Trump wants to stop the killing. The US wants peace and is using its strength in the world to bring countries together. The statement said, and I'm quoting, President Trump is the only leader in the world who can get Ukraine and Russia to agree to that. Now, 3 years after intense fighting has resulted in thousands of deaths on both sides, the message coming in from Washington surely undermines Ukraine's hopes and in a way raises doubts about its goal to reclaim all of its lost territory. We're not just talking about Crimea, which was annexed by Russia in 2014, but also the 4 regions of Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, which were, remember, annexed by Russia in 2022. Earlier, critics have argued that the Trump administration is making major concessions for Russia, while US officials maintain that they are simply recognizing the realities of the situation. Now, this is where these talks become absolutely crucial. Not only because Ukraine is part of the discussions, but also because other important issues are at stake. Both Putin and Trump have earlier expressed a desire to discuss topics beyond the war, including nuclear arms control, strategies to reduce global energy prices. Under the Biden administration, the United States provided Ukraine with tens of billions of dollars worth of weapons and aid. America also led Western governments in imposing a series of sanctions on Russia. However, Russia has managed to endure the sanctions. Now, with the way the talks have gone in Riyadh, we cannot help but wonder how Ukrainian and European officials are actually feeling. Both Ukraine and European leaders are concerned that Trump could hastily negotiate a deal with Russia, perhaps, that overlooks their security interests, rewards Russia, and in a way allows Putin to continue threatening Ukraine and possibly other countries in the future if he wants. However, like we told you last night, the sidelining of Europe in these discussions by Washington could show just how little influence they realistically have in matters concerning Ukraine. With dwindling armed forces and a dependency on American leadership and security support, they seem to have come to accept that they cannot help Ukraine without US backing. And so at this point, the question is, does their criticism truly matter? And Europe is more worried about Donald Trump than Vladimir Putin as American and Russian diplomats met in Riyadh. The coming together has caused a lot of unease in Europe, which in a way feels it's been sidelined, and Washington's moves are further emboldening Moscow. Our next report brings the anxiety that has gripped European capitals.
The war in Ukraine is raging. Europe stands at a crossroads. NATO faces its biggest test yet. Will the US abandon the security pact? There's a growing concern that US President Donald Trump may scale back or entirely withdraw American troops from Europe, particularly the Baltics, where it has more than 5,000 soldiers. Trump's willingness to consider withdrawing troops from Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania has sent shockwaves across the continent. European officials see this as a major security risk. In total, there are about 100,000 American troops in Europe. The US also has an estimated 100 B-61 nuclear gravity bombs that are forward deployed at 6 NATO bases in 5 European countries. The implications are stark: a potentially weaker NATO, an emboldened Russia, and deepening rifts within the European Union over how to respond. Moscow, which has the upper hand on the battlefield, is now demanding that Ukraine should be a demilitarized, neutral state outside any alliances.
The future of Ukraine needs to be a demilitarized, neutral state, not a part of any blocs or alliances, for as has already been acknowledged by a US colleague, now specifically President Trump. It is indeed the prospect of the entry of Ukraine into NATO which triggered the crisis. And I think that this is now clear to all.
Kyiv is rejecting these conditions, warning that without security guarantees, Russia could launch another invasion, a sentiment echoed by European leaders.
And I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground, alongside others, if there is a lasting peace agreement. But there must be a US backstop, because a US security guarantee is the only way to effectively deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again.
The most important thing about this meeting tonight is the need for all of us to step up when it comes to our spendings on defense. Russia is not only a threat to Ukraine, but all of us. So we need to scale up and we need to speed up.
An emergency meeting in Paris saw European leaders scramble for a united response, but Germany rejected calls by France and Britain to send troops to Ukraine. As European leaders grapple with their response, options range from dramatically increased defense spending to reduce US dependency to providing direct security guarantees to Ukraine. Yet each proposal faces resistance, highlighting the challenge of forging consensus in a fragmented Europe. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And let's also tell you what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. What exactly are meme coins? What is Argentina's meme coin scandal all about? Why is it making headlines? As the president of Argentina faces impeachment calls, we tell you all about meme coins. This is coming up in Gravitas Deep Dive. China is cooking up a storm in Cook Islands. What's brewing really and why? We tell you more. And China's top counter-spy agency has arrested an ex-soldier for allegedly sending military secrets to a foreign espionage agency. You do not want to miss this story. Are noise-cancelling headphones bad for you? We tell you what a new study says. All this and more coming up. First is some breaking updates coming in right this minute from the United States. Schools are closed and residents have been ordered to shelter in place after a large fire broke out at an aerospace manufacturer's facility in a town north of Philadelphia. That's the latest that's coming in at this point. As the developments continue to trickle in, let's get you these images of the massive fire which has engulfed the warehouse. What is known at this point is that the officials are saying that they continue to monitor the air and water quality, and the firefighters are working to put out the blaze. It's a race against time after that fire broke out at SPS Technologies. This happened around 9:30 p.m. local time as per reports, and witnesses saying that there is an explosion. Flames could be seen inside the warehouse as well as per the reports, and the police saying that all employees were accounted for and no injuries were reported. In fact, SPS Technologies is describing itself as a developer, manufacturer and global supplier of a line of aerospace fasteners and precision components. In fact, the schools functioning there are being impacted and the residents being asked to shelter in place after that massive fire broke out at that facility. We will continue to monitor the latest coming in on that front. These are the latest images at this point from on the ground where the firefighters are battling to bring this fire under control, and the US officials are also monitoring the air and water quality as of now. These are the initial details that have trickled in, and we will continue to get you the latest on that fire. On to Canada now, where a Delta Airlines jet flipped on its roof while landing at Toronto's Pearson Airport. And the visuals will tell you it was a pretty deadly flip. Luckily, all 80 people on board survived, while almost 18 people suffered minor injuries. The crash marks the fourth major aviation accident in North America in the past 3 weeks. What explains this? Our next report, getting you the complete story.
It was no less than a drastic fall, as within seconds the plane topples and goes sideways, leaving passengers trapped inside the flight, upside down, horrified. The flight Mitsubishi CRJ 900LR from Minneapolis, carrying 76 passengers and 4 crew members, attempted to land at Toronto around 2:15 p.m. EST on the 17th of February, amidst snowy conditions.
1 minute you're landing, kind of waiting to see your friends and your people, and the next minute you're physically upside down and just really turned around. But it sounded, I mean, it was just cement and metal, you know.
What's surprising is the fact that there was no indication of the incident even as the plane touched down, as communications between the tower and pilot were confirmed to be clear. The plane topples and goes sideways, while firefighters doused the leftover flames. This could have been far more devastating than it looks, and could also have led to loss of lives, thus reviving memories of what happened in the January 29 crash in Washington, D.C., where 67 people died in a collision between a commercial jetliner and an army helicopter. This serves as a grim reminder of the spate of aviation accidents. On January 31st, a medical transportation plane crashed in Philadelphia, leaving all 6 people on board and another person on the ground dead. And on February 6th, 10 people died in a plane crash in Alaska. Even as the cause for the Delta plane crash remains unknown, active investigation is underway.
Good evening. I'm Todd Aiken, Toronto Pearson Fire Chief. The cause of the crash is still under investigation and being led by the Transportation Safety Board. It's not appropriate for us to comment at this time. However, I can speak to you about our Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting Services response.
While air travel remains one of the safest modes of travel compared to rail or road, the spate of accidents in recent months begs an important question. Is it time to take a closer look at global aviation safety procedures? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's now talk about meme coins. Do we have reasons to beware of meme coins? Even presidents can apparently get it wrong. And before we tell you why, let me tell you a story. A story about Argentina's president. He is at the center of a crypto scandal, a major row, a scandal that could cost him his job as he faces impeachment calls and legal action, accusing him of fraud. You heard that right. It all started last week, in fact. Milei promoted a crypto meme coin on his social media platform. On X, Milei said that it would help fund small businesses and startups. He even shared a link to buy it, causing its price to shoot up. Within a few hours, the cryptocurrency nosedived in value, losing investors and causing investors to lose a lot of their money. In fact, Libra erased more than $4.4 billion in value. It pulled the rug from under unsuspecting retail investors and promoters. They crashed tens of millions of dollars. Now, Milei backtracked, deleted the said post on social media and denied any link to the cryptocurrency. But some opposition members of the Congress say they plan to start proceedings to impeach him. And not just the opposition, lawyers have also filed complaints of fraud in Argentina's criminal court on Sunday. On Monday, Milei distanced himself from the role that the state played in the scandal.
I ask it honestly. Do you acknowledge you made a mistake?
I didn't because I acted in good faith. Somebody approaches me and proposes to create an instrument to fund projects in Argentina is interesting to me. Now it's true, in wanting to help those Argentines, I was slapped in the face. But did the state lose anything? Nothing.
And as he tries to recover from a political black eye, and even as the events are now the subject of an internal government probe, Milei has joined the list of world leaders like U.S. President Donald Trump to get associated with promoting meme coins. What's the lesson? Beware of meme coins, perhaps. But what exactly are they? Well, they are highly volatile cryptocurrency. They are inspired by popular internet or cultural trends. They carry no intrinsic value, but can soar or plummet in price. And they are generally seen as indicators of retail investors' interest in cryptocurrency. It's usually a marker of investors' risk appetite at any given point in time. Initially created as supposed jokes or parodies, meme coins have gained a lot of traction because of speculative interest. You remember Dogecoin? Meme coins have basically evolved from internet jokes into multi-billion-dollar assets, attracting everyone in a way from casual investors to major financial institutions. Meme coins tied to celebrities, politicians, and viral trends, turning them into highly volatile and speculative assets. And many traders have not caught up with significant shifts within the industry over the last decade or so. Governments have long highlighted the major criminal risks associated with meme coins. Take, for example, in October 2024, U.S. authorities charged 18 people as well as major crypto firms with various frauds against everyday investors. These schemes depended on central players in the sector, the so-called market makers, who artificially inflated the trading volumes and prices to create fake transactions and suggest more buyer interest for unsuspecting investors. And now experts say that market manipulation is not the only problem. There's also the problem of what's called pump and dump schemes, in which prices are often artificially inflated before major sell-offs. It leaves late investors at a loss. And as if all that was not enough, there are other risks as well. Meme coins experience unpredictable price swings. They have no real-world application or long-term viability. Plus, future legal crackdowns could actually impact their liquidity and market presence. There's also the risk of exposing yourself to hackers and other criminal operators. And for all these reasons, one should exercise extreme caution before approaching meme coins. Shifting focus for now, tensions boiling over in the Cook Islands. A strategic partnership deal between China and the Cook Islands has led to protests, accusations of backroom dealings, and growing fears of Beijing's expanding influence in the Pacific, fueling that unrest. Hundreds of protesters taking to the streets, condemning the Prime Minister, Mark Brown's secretive new deal with China.
And I would say that the actions of our Prime Minister in the last 3 weeks has been someone of a person who thinks he owns our country as his own business. He's wheeling and dealing and making deals around the world that's affecting us, the people of the country, and we've got no idea.
The agreement spanning deep-sea mining, education, economic cooperation pointedly excludes security ties. And critics argue the deal opens the door for further Chinese entrenchment. The Cook Islands government, under intense pressure, releasing the deal's action plan amid outcry over a lack of transparency. New Zealand, which has constitutional ties to the self-governing Pacific nation, expressing alarm as well. Wellington was not consulted before the agreement signing, reportedly, despite its ongoing budgetary and defense support for the Cook Islands. The opposition is forcing a no-confidence vote against Brown's government, scheduled for next week.
The reactions from New Zealand government, hence the reason we are here today to protest to our government sincerely. Reconsider our position there, both, and be more transparent in the future to our New Zealand.
In fact, Prime Minister Brown defends the deal, citing a one-time $4 million grant from Beijing as a crucial financial boost. Yet concerns are mounting that China's economic assistance could come with long-term strategic strings attached. The controversy underscoring growing Western unease over China's rising influence in the Pacific. Over the past 3 years, in fact, Beijing has signed a series of trade, financial, security agreements across the region, challenging the dominance of traditional Western allies. The country is located in Oceania, in the South Pacific Ocean, about halfway between Hawaii and New Zealand. And experts say the Cook Islands deal is yet another move in China's grand geopolitical chess game, one that could alter the balance of power in the Pacific. And China's top counter-spy agency has arrested an ex-soldier for allegedly sending military secrets to a foreign espionage agency. You heard that right. China's Ministry of State Security, in a post on Tuesday, stated that the ex-soldier passed photos and videos about troop deployment locations, weapon configurations, and details about military barracks near border areas to a foreign espionage agency via social media. And upon investigating, the ministry found that the account was registered to an 80-year-old man who had served 2 years in China's military. The ex-soldier had allegedly been dismissed from service owing to disciplinary issues. According to the ministry, the ex-soldier was skilled at counter-surveillance and being secretive, which made his capture extremely difficult. In fact, it was only when Chinese national security officers intercepted an order from a foreign espionage agency instructing the ex-soldier to steal secrets from a particular military base that they managed to pick up a trail on him. The ministry did not disclose further details about the ex-soldier. While information about his arrest remains vague, it allegedly arrested the ex-soldier in a remote part of China, where the terrain is considered to be treacherous and impassable, primarily due to heavy snowstorms during the winter. And according to reports, the Chinese national security officer set up a trap and nabbed the suspect. In a post on social media, the Chinese intelligence agency said that military-related information is highly sensitive and is a primary target for foreign espionage agencies, further urging the public to report filming of any kind of military sites. While China has publicized a large number of cases of alleged espionage by foreign countries, the arrest of Chinese nationals on charges of spying domestically is rare. Let me now ask you this. Have you heard of strawberry quick candy? Apparently, it's a favorite among children. But there's a catch. It's not just any other candy, but one that is laced with drugs. And in Pakistan, it has taken the form of a menace, with authorities in Multan and Peshawar advising parents to keep children away from it. In a public warning, the Deputy Commissioner of Multan has described the drug-laced candy to be a new form of sweet poison, seemingly a harmless treat. Strawberry Quick looks like Pop Rocks, the candy that fizzes in your mouth as it crackles and pops. However, there is more than what meets the eye here, as it reportedly contains crystal meth, a highly addictive poison increasingly used by meth makers to trick children into trying it by adding strawberry flavor, food coloring, clever packaging. How harmful is it really? Pink crystal meth is a glassy, rock-like form of meth that is usually smoked or injected. And how different is it from other forms of meth? While all meth is likely to contain impurities, pink meth may be more likely to contain potentially hazardous contaminants. Even as pure meth is usually colorless, or white meth can also be found in various colors, including blue, yellow, green, depending on how it's manufactured, any of which can be particularly harmful and addictive. And when taken in high quantities, pink meth can lead to increased heart rate and blood pressure, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting as short-term consequences, and increased risk of heart attack and stroke, respiratory issues, liver and kidney damage in the long term. And in Pakistan, the drug crisis seems to be intensifying, as similar concerns have now surfaced in Peshawar, where reports indicate the sale of harmful lollipops in the people's market. This is concerning as it directly impacts children who are soft targets of drug addiction. The question is, can the authorities do enough to avert the crisis? Tech giant Meta has announced a 50,000-kilometer-long subsea cable that will connect 5 continents. When completed, the subsea cable will be the world's longest underwater cable project, called Project Waterworth. The multi-billion-dollar, multi-year investment will connect United States, India, Brazil, South Africa, and other key regions via the undersea cable. Meta claims, in fact, that once completed, its subsea cables will be longer than the Earth's circumference. Not just that, the cable will reportedly reach depths of up to 7,000 meters. In a blog post, Meta said the aim is basically to enable greater economic cooperation, facilitate digital inclusion, and open opportunities for technological development in these areas. Zuckerberg's Meta will be deploying advanced routing and innovative cable burial strategies to protect against damage in high-risk areas like shallow coastal waters. Undersea cable networks are essential for global internet connectivity. These cables enable local telecom operators to provide internet services to their customers and connect different countries. Meta's investment coming amid increasing demand from telecom operators to help expand network infrastructure and alleviate data congestion as well. How often do you use headphones? Well, almost daily perhaps, whether for music, podcasts or calls. A new study suggests that headphones, especially those with noise-cancelling features, may put you at risk of hearing loss. Let's tell you more. A group of audiologists from UK's National Health Service warning that the increasing use of noise-cancelling headphones is leading to a rise in hearing issues triggered by the brain. And experts report a growing number of young people are seeking help for auditory processing disorder, also known as APD. This neurological condition affects the brain's ability to interpret sounds. In other words, the brain's ability to process words or sounds, especially from background noise, slows down. And APD is commonly associated with ear infections, childhood brain injury, or a gene defect. However, in the last few years, a lot of youngsters have been diagnosed with this hearing disorder. And most of these cases are related to the overuse of noise-cancelling headphones. Noise-cancelling headphones basically are a type of headphones that use active noise control to reduce unwanted ambient sounds, thereby allowing the listener to focus on the audio content without having to turn up the volume. So what's the solution really? Experts recommend paying attention to total sound exposure from both earphones and your surroundings, Meanwhile, taking regular breaks from listening is also essential for protecting your hearing over time. Beyond potential hearing damage, noise-cancelling headphones pose other health risks as well. They can make users unaware of their surroundings, a potential safety issue that could, in some cases, also result in accidents. Moreover, extended use at high volumes can cause discomfort, even hearing fatigue, headache, disorientation, dizziness. Noise-cancelling headphones can be a valuable tool, of course. However, like any other technology, they too should be used with moderation and consideration. Thousands of people across the U.S. carried out marches against Donald Trump on President's Day, demonstrating against what they called Elon Musk's unchecked power in the new Trump administration. Our next report telling you more.
They are not doing their job. They are taking us down.
Where is Congress? Do your job. Where is Congress? Do your job. Do your job. Where is Congress? Do your job. Elon Musk has got to go. Elon Musk has got to go. Elon Musk has got to go. No crown.
My main hope is that the Congress will come to their senses to push back against this anarchy and to turn things around.
China is facing a serious issue. It's a problem within. The decline in marriage registrations, which has triggered serious birth rate concerns. Just how bad are things looking really? We'll get to that in just a bit. First, what is being done about it? One of the ways is offering cash to newlywed couples. It's hoped that the marriage rates will see a boost through this incentive measure. In fact, the city of Luliang in northern Shanxi province is one of the many places in China where local authorities are offering incentives to lure couples into tying the knot. The 1,500 yuan reward, which is about $205, is part of official efforts to boost the country's population. And the sum, by the way, is half a month's average wage for Luliang's urban population and more than the monthly average wage for its rural citizens, according to official data. In fact, when Luliang's cash incentive for marriage was announced online, many commented that the amount would not be enough to justify the commitment. Just to break this down for you further, the reward is just the flashiest part of the package in a way. The city is also offering subsidies, medical insurance contributions for registering newborns. You heard that right. Married couples in Luliang are given 2,000 yuan for their first registered child, 5,000 for their second, 8,000 for their third. But just how bad are things in China really, and why are these measures being adopted in the first place? Well, the marriage rate in China fell by a record 20% in 2024. In fact, the country's population fell for the third straight year in 2024. A record 20% plunge in marriages last year was the steepest decline ever recorded. You get the picture. So clearly China is worried, and the country really wants people to get married and have children so that the birth rates improve. The decline in marriage rate raises further concerns about the country's shrinking population, and there have been government initiatives to encourage young couples to marry and have children in order to boost the country's declining population. But why does China find itself in this situation? Well, just to put it simply, declining interest in getting married and starting a family has long been blamed on the high cost of childcare and education in China. On top of that, sputtering economic growth over the past few years has made it rather difficult for university graduates to find work, and those that do have jobs feel insecure in a way about their long-term prospects, reportedly. But can such incentives fix China's population woes, is the question. In a way, the Chinese government's political and economic ambitions are directly linked to that answer. Let's now talk about bamboo. According to reports, it's increasingly becoming the backbone of construction and sustainability. In fact, scientists in China have reportedly been pioneering advanced technologies to enhance the strength and the durability of bamboo-based materials, paving the way for large-scale infrastructure projects. And one of the success stories of bamboo innovation in this regard is its use on the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, the world's longest sea crossing. According to reports, Chinese engineers crafted high-performance bamboo composite panels for the scenic platforms that stretch for kilometers along the bridge. Now, 6 years later, those panels have reportedly withstood sunlight, powerful typhoons, constant exposure to seawater, thereby proving the durability. And despite its woody appearance, bamboo is actually a type of grass, but its strength-to-weight ratio surpasses certain steel alloys, making it a superior alternative to wood, plastic, even steel in various applications. And beyond construction, bamboo also plays a crucial role in the fight against climate change. It reportedly absorbs nearly 50% more carbon dioxide than typical trees, making it an environmentally viable option. And the innovation does not stop with buildings. In March 2023, India introduced a new advancement in road safety, the world's first 200-meter-long bamboo crash barrier. Installed on a highway in Maharashtra named Bahubali, this barrier went through rigorous testing at top research facilities, including the National Automotive Test Tracks in Indore, achieving a top fire safety rating and proving its resilience in high-impact situations. And what makes this bamboo crash barrier even more remarkable is its sustainability, a very crucial factor. Its recycling value is between 50 to 70%. Significantly higher than traditional steel barriers, which range from 30 to 50%. The bamboo species used in this barrier reportedly underwent a specialized treatment for added strength and durability as well. And by offering an environmentally friendly, cost-effective and alternative to steel, bamboo crash barriers are setting a new standard for road safety. As the world searches for greener solutions, bamboo is proving that nature does hold the key to building a stronger and more sustainable future. The question remains how long before we extensively see bamboo being used in modern infrastructure. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. We're leaving you with Gravitas Worldview. Thanks very much for watching.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Know more? Understand better? Think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Know more? Understand better? Think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for Pulse. The headlines. Russia opposes any NATO member sending troops to Ukraine. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says Russia and U.S. have agreed to establish a process for settling Ukraine conflict and to remove barriers for diplomatic missions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says talks on ending Ukraine war should not take place behind the back of those affected by Russia. Postpones Wednesday's trip to Saudi Arabia after Russia-US talks. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Turkey will be the ideal host for any talks to end Russia-Ukraine war. Addresses a joint press conference in Ankara with Zelensky. Israel and Hamas say the last 6 living hostages eligible to be freed under the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal are to be released this week. President Draupadi Murmu receives the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. She hosts a banquet in his honor. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, among others, present. The UK's Foreign Ministry summons the Rwandan High Commissioner to condemn advances made by M23 group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, calls for Rwanda to immediately withdraw from Congolese territory. Investigators are looking into what made a Delta plane crash land and flip over at Toronto's Pearson Airport. All the people survived the plane tragedy.
Holy fuck! Oh my fucking god!
Demonstrators rally against U.S. President Donald Trump during a protest marking President's Day in Miami, Florida, claim losing rights under Trump 2.0. In a big boost for Pakistan pacer Haris Rauf has been declared fully fit to face New Zealand in the Champions Trophy opener on Wednesday in Karachi. We begin WION Pulse with some breaking news coming in from Ukraine. And Ukraine's air defense units have repelled Russian drone attacks on the capital Kyiv. These are the latest images from the Ukrainian capital. Air defense guns can be heard in central Kyiv shortly after air raid sirens were sounded. The Ukrainian military says Russia launched 147 drones to attack the country. It says that out of 147, Ukraine's Air Force shot down 83 drones and 59 more did not reach their targets, likely due to electronic countermeasures. Ukrainian military did not specify what happened to the remaining 5 drones. The drone attack on Kyiv